Okay, welcome to the April 10th, 2025 Conservation Commission meeting, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do you have a handout over there, Zach, for later? And do you need an agenda? Do you have the... You've got that one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, Bridget, can you do roll call?
Ellen Snyder.
Here.
Chris Blackstone.
Here.
Tom Jones.
Here.
Julie Tyson. Jess Can. Colin Lawson.
Here.
Zach Angelini.
Here.
Jeff Goldknop.
Present.
Brian Ward.
Here.
Ella Portman.
Okay, and I know, there she is. Hello. Let's sit up here. And I know Jess can't make it, so, hey, Julie. So Jess and Colin were appointed as full members. Congratulations. You guys are now full members. So, and Jess is not here. She's a full member. And Zach, you're our one alternate still, so I'll appoint you as a voting member tonight. Okay, and first up are to elect officers. Very exciting. I think, as most of you know, I'm stepping down as chair. So we have a full slate to elect tonight. So we have chair, vice chair, and we used to have a treasurer, but I've been doing treasurer, so I thought we could resurrect the treasurer, and I'm happy to continue to be treasurer if that's, unless anybody else wants to do treasury. And then we have appointments to the River Advisory Committee, Energy and Environment, and then we have our reps, which Emma and Brian and Jeff will be appointed by their respective boards. So, so Chris is interested and willing to serve as chair, and Julie is interested and willing to serve as vice chair. So if there's other people interested in any of those slots, or we could take a vote on that slate and move ahead with that, whatever your pleasure.
I think we should vote on it.
All right, we need a motion if you want.
Vote for those two
Slate? Okay.
positions.
Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, do you want me to still do the committees, and then I'm going to turn it over to you?
Yes, but do we need to officially recognize that Ellen is going to siphon off and be the treasurer? And so we had mushed those two roles together, but she's,
I would.
Yeah, I think that
would
was-
advise, yes. I
make
think.
it that
Yeah.
official. So
Yeah.
I would move that Ellen Snyder be nominated as the treasurer for the Conservation Commission.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you,
stepping
Ellen.
up. Appreciate it. So I'll just keep going on these reps, and then I'm going to turn it over to Chris. So Sam Kenny has been our rep to the Riverfront Advisory Committee. He's the chair of the Riverfront Advisory Committee and has been spearheading the master plan update or chapter for that. And so my recommendation is that we reappoint him to that, because if we don't, he gets kicked off of that committee, and he's kind of really important for that committee, unless somebody else really wants to step into that role. So if that would be okay, I'd entertain a motion for Sam to be
I move that
reappointed.
Sam be
Okay,
reappointed.
thank you. Second? Zach, second, okay. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Energy and environment, I know Julie, you wanted to step off because you've got other commitments. Does anybody, it's nice if we have a rep, but if nobody is interested, but there is an opening, and I don't know if you want to say a little bit about it, so if anybody's interested.
Yeah, and I'll say that it is, it's an important role, and they are hurting for members on that committee. So if someone here is interested, or even if you know someone who is interested in sustainability in Newmarket, trash, recycling, our energy sources, and anything that falls under the window of sustainability, which does relate to conservation as well. So that's why they want a rep from the Conservation Commission. So if anyone is interested here, they're a great group of people, and you are really involved in the planning and the sustainability of Newmarket. And again, or if you know anyone of your friends that lives in Newmarket, I would highly advise you tell them to check it out, just go to a meeting and find out, and they would welcome them with open arms, because what I've seen in the past couple of years is the inconsistency is definitely hard, and Joe and Ellen Reed are carrying a lot of weight on that commission there to get things done, so, yeah, thanks.
When do they meet?
They meet on Wednesdays, usually the fourth Wednesday, same time, and I know these meetings tend to run long because we have so much to do, but Energy Environment is usually, they hit an hour, so 7 to 8, and they're like, all right, we're cutting it off and kind of head out for the day. So, yeah, usually the fourth Wednesday of every month at 7 o'clock right here.
They meet upstairs in the council chambers?
They meet down
They
here
meet down
now.
here, okay.
Yeah.
You don't even have to appoint tonight. Does anybody have any particular interest in being that? And if it's somebody from the community, they can still be our rep to that committee. They just can report back to us now and then, so. Anybody have a burning desire to jump into that tonight? Yeah.
I think it might be interesting, but maybe, yeah, we can talk about it a little more. maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you're interested too, like pop by a meeting
Yeah,
and see what
right,
it's
I
about.
just
Yeah.
like that.
So they've written the energy chapter for Newmarket of the master plan too, and they started doing that before we even started rewriting our master plan. So they're like very heavily involved in that side of Newmarket's reimagining of how things will be. But yeah, happy to chat more and happy to connect you with getting to a meeting if you want to check it out or send some friends that way. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Julie.
Oh, thank you, Sam.
Okay, I don't think, I know Melissa was on the 300th committee. Again, that's another one if anybody's particularly interested in that as a rep from here, but.
I'm actually the town rep on the 300th, so I could probably just tell you what's
Oh,
going on.
that's awesome. Why don't we go with that?
Yeah, just-
That works really well. All right, we're going to put you down for that too. Great. Thank you. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Chris. She's our new chair. Thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you, Ellen. I really appreciate everything that you've done.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you,
I-
Ellen.
Your
Thank you,
background
do we
knowledge
applaud
is
this power
huge.
changer? Okay.
Huge.
Yes. Your expertise.
Yeah, you're
And the
60
clothes you
hours
wear
a
to
week.
meetings, I mean, seriously, take a look at this outfit. Would you take a look at that?
Oh, yes.
shirt?
Model it.
Please come.
We'll have some time to talk about that down at Events, Outreach, and Education. Public comment, seeing nobody from the public, I think there is none. Approved meeting minutes from March 13th. People have a chance to look those over or have anything to change or add or revamp about that or revisit about that?
That's good to me.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve
I'll
those?
move we accept them.
Thank you, Tom. Second?
Second.
Second by Ellen. Okay, financial summary.
You have to vote.
Oh, duh. There you go. Jot down the first error as the new chair. Da-da-da-da-da, at 7:04. Vote on approving those minutes for Bridget's minutes.
Aye.
Approved for the meeting minutes of March 13th are approved as written.
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't there. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing about abstaining, I will say, that I learned from the Municipal Association. All these times, many of us have been saying, abstain, I wasn't there for any one of these committees you've been on. In fact, you can approve minutes without having been there.
Okay. Well,
Weirdly
I
enough.
approve 'em.
Yeah.
Because
I always
part of
thought, like,
it-
how do I know? I wasn't there. But
Yeah.
if the body is saying it's fine, then you're allowed to just say, okay.
Well, if you
And if
get
you
a
looked at
copy
them,
and there's no
yeah.
typos or.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
you're
something
still
crazy
reviewing the
in there
minutes, right.
that you're like, wait, that happened?
Right. Where was I? Oh, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And you can still continue to abstain. I just wanted to clarify that that's
Thank
the latest and greatest there.
Yeah.
All right, financial summary from Ellen.
All right, so our Conservation Commission fund balance is $131,829.25. The Shanda fund remains at $4,621.11, for a total of $136,450.36. In March, we had our usual interest, and let's see, what else did we, we've got, let me just check something. We got the reimbursement from LCHIP for monitoring the Piscassica Relay Zone, and we got $550 from them for that, so that's great. And we hired CELT, so some of that money went out, but it wasn't that much money, so that's nice, a little bit extra back to us. And then we paid out the Rosa appraisal, which we had approved, which was $3,000. We had approved, I think, up to $5,000, so that was $3,000. And we're actually submitting a grant tomorrow that Bridget's helped with and CELT has helped with to get reimbursement for half of that money back. So hopefully that'll come through. And we, let's see, we're going to approve some other things later in the agenda, so I think I'll just hold off on that. And the general fund balance is $2,035.57. And then we did buy the file cabinet, which I don't think is coming out until next month in terms of our budget. But, and Bridget's time is being covered by the planning department, I believe, right? So our balance is holding steady for a while, so. Are you going to keep doing it, or are we shifting it at all? We're happy to have you keep doing it, so if you want to.
I think it kind of like fell off the radar.
Yeah.
So,
All right, that's up to you to figure out, but we're happy to have you here, so thank you. And that's, any questions on the finances? We'll talk about some of the things later in the agenda.
Thank you. Next item, master plan, land and water conservation chapter from,
Okay, just a quick update. I'm on the master plan committee. We met last night and we reviewed, they reviewed that chapter, which is now going to will go to the planning board. And the, there's so many chapters, I lose track of. The riverfront is going to go to the planning board, and the transportation chapter. So their chapters are starting to move forward to the planning board. And the next thing for us will be, there's this big implementation. If you remember, we did work on a spreadsheet, which is kind of the action items. So they've got a bunch of columns that the master plan team is going to fill out in terms of timeline, potential costs, priority, that kind of stuff. And so we'll have a look at that maybe next month or maybe a month after, but that's our next task. So nothing for tonight.
thank you. Committee and board reports. Brian, what do you have for us from town council?
Okay, the council met on the 2nd. We had a work session on the water master plan, where we are doing pretty well, except for with water storage. We basically need to double the amount of storage we have, and for water, but 90% of our pipes are at low risk right now, which is pretty good considering a lot of our pipe network was made back in late 1800s, some of it was. Well, some of it's still working from the 1800s, but we've been replacing it. So, but that's all good. Big thing that night, well, the 2 railroad crossings were going to be closed at a certain date, but apparently that's been delayed. But just so people know, the railroad crossing at 108 by the Dino Mart and the one on Elm Street by the cemetery, at some point in the next few weeks, they're going to have to repair it, and those are going to be, the roads are going to be closed, and there will be detours. But just, those were supposed to start on the 15th, but they,
Sorry, I'm interrupting. The police sent out an Instagram message just before we got here tonight that said it's the 20th.
Okay.
They sent out one that said we don't know when, and now they sent out one that said the 20th, April 20th.
Okay.
And they anticipate 5 days.
Yep. All right. So,
5 days.
so if you're in town, you have to reason to go out towards Rite Aid or that way. Just be aware that it will be a bit difficult on those days. And the final thing is that we voted on a letter opposing New Hampshire Senate Bill 297, which is trying to change risk pools for town insurance. The short of it is that towns have trouble getting covered by regular insurance because we hire people like firefighters who run into fires, and we hire people like police officers who run into. And so what we did was create a system called a risk pool, where we all the towns, municipalities, kind of pool their money together, and that's how we pay for our insurance. For whatever reason, someone shoved through a bill saying that they wanted to make a bunch of changes that would more or less shut down this risk pool, so that the town would either have to pay for any insurance problems by itself, or find a private insurer willing to pay willing to cover the town, which would be expensive either way. So we wrote a letter to wrote a letter opposing it. If you want, please look it up. New Hampshire Senate Bill 297. Yeah, there was no real good reason given on why they were doing it. They said didn't have enough money, so they were trying to raise money. Yeah, it didn't really make sense. Yeah. Oh no, I remember. After COVID, the system had worked, and they sent out something around the tune of, I believe, well, a lot of money went out to COVID, but the system works, and they're trying to just slowly rebuild that money. The bill was saying, we're not rebuilding the money fast enough, so we need to increase rates, and the people who run it said, if you increase the rates in this way, we're going to shut down by 2026. So, a clear and immediate problem. I also have the Newmarket 300th to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was yesterday night. We had a guest speaker, Sam Allen, the vice president of the Dover 400th of committee. He gave us some good advice. He said one of the big things that people wanted was things for their kids and beer. So rather than just fully focusing on the history, but suggested maybe like a family fun day to bring people in with food trucks, petting zoos, and again, beer trucks. And we also have been trying to we've also started separating into groups to handle all the various tasks that need to get done in time for the 300th. So we have a marketing group, a merchandise group, fundraising group, and a events group now. And we're going to try and coordinate, each group's going to try and coordinate on their own to handle certain tasks so we can get more stuff done.
Will there be stuff throughout the year, or is it going to be certain special events in that certain
Yes.
months?
Yes, there are going to be events throughout the year. There will also be things like Newmarket Notables, where people can like pitch, famous Newmarket historical figures and have them put on banners. And we'll be making some merchandise as well. Yep. And oh yeah, and the next Monday here at the town hall, the Historic Society will be doing a presentation about Newmarket during World War II. I'm not sure at what time, but something sounds pretty fun. Well, to me it does. Anyways, that's it.
Thank you. Good stuff. Jeff, planning board, planning department.
We had our meeting this Tuesday. We did not talk about the master plan at all this month, except that we will probably be starting to meet twice a month, the month after next, in order to try to get things wrapped up this year. The majority of the meeting was spent working on modifications to site plan regs. Site plan. Zoning, what's that?
Doing what?
Sorry, yeah. I said site plan regs, but it was incorrect. Sorry, for the rezoning of parts of town to the village corridor, creating a village corridor for the north, central, and southern part of kind of several of the districts through town, including the Jerry Ave. We've been working on it for a very long time. I think I've mentioned it a few times. So we just continue to work on that and slight changes in lot sizes and densities and where they should be applicable. I don't think there's much really pertinent to the board involved in that. Any questions about it, though, I'd be more than happy to try to answer. Bart's usually very good at answering those questions. He did mention that we would maybe see like the report from West Environmental.
Yeah, I think I was going to mention it later. I think he's working on the abutter list. As you know, we have to notify all the abutters to every wetland. So I think he's working on the abutter list, and then, it's supposed to go to the planning board. And, so there's a bunch of steps to get to where we need to be.
Not an exciting report this month.
Jeff, you mentioned the planning board would start meeting twice a month. Is that a short duration, a few months to buckle things up, or is that what you're thinking you need to be doing moving forward?
The thought was just master plan related.
Oh,
So
okay.
the second meeting might be pure master plan, so that, because we find that the planning board meetings and discussing the zoning stuff, and if we have an applicant come, if we need to discuss the master
Yeah, you
plan at the
just
same
can't get it
time, the
done.
meetings will go on for hours and hours and hours. So we are thinking of adding a second meeting to devote purely to master plan per month. And it's only, sorry, the timeframe, hoping that it doesn't carry through December. But for the rest of the year, probably
Wow.
starting in June, or maybe even in May, I guess, if we schedule a second meeting for May, at our May meeting.
Well, then all the more thanks for being the planning board rep to us as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's only 3 meetings a month.
Energy and environment, I'm sensing you might have something, don't have something. We're going to wait to see if Zach has something. Oh, Jeff, that was a,
I was going to mention that we did not vote for Concom rep at our meeting this Tuesday, because we have only 3 returning full-time
Oh,
members and a couple of returning alternates, but the rest of the board are all new members. And so the chair explained kind of the roles of boards and the different boards that we have reps to, and wanted people to think about it over the next month. I'll seek to return to the Conservation Commission, so unless if there's someone else that really wants to fill the role. So.
oh, well, thank you for the continued interest, and we'll see if we're welcoming somebody new as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome.
Energy and environment.
Yeah, since I'm stepping back, I didn't attend, so I don't have any
That's okay.
updates from them.
All righty, we'll wait and see what comes with your liaison efforts with Zach.
Yes.
Riverfront Advisory, Ellen, you don't have anything? Do you have
No,
something?
they just that they're wrapping up their chapter. I think it's really good. I asked Sam last night, because he's also on the bigger master plan committee, of whether they're going to, increase the committee or make it more substantial. I don't know if that's going to go to the town council or where they are, but I think they're waiting for the chapter to be done. So, as Jeff said, it's a bit of a long process to get to the end point, so maybe a little while.
Gotcha, thank you. School liaison, Emma, nice to see you. What do you have for us?
So the environmental club at my school right now is in the process of growing a bunch of seedlings inside during the colder months, and then we're planning on taking those seeds and putting them in bigger pots and selling them during Mother's Day, kind of having like farmers market sort of. We have a couple different wildflowers, dahlias, dianthus, and then we have peppers, basil, broccoli, and a bunch of different things like that. So we're planning to, we did this last year, and now we're just kind of like troubleshooting our way through it and planning on selling it. Newmarket Cares Day is coming up, so we're just kind of finalizing those details, getting out volunteer forms and stuff like that. And then we are also planning some roadside cleanups for the spring.
Whoa. That's a lot, thank you.
Did you say roadside cleanup?
Yeah, so in the past, we have done about 6 per year. We usually do 3 or 4 in the spring and 3 or 4 in the fall. Just when it's nicer out and when daylight savings doesn't get in the way, so it's not too dark after school. The officers will pick different routes and stuff like that we just drive by and see different trash. And then right after school, we have a bunch of gloves and trash bags, and we just go down the streets and walk down and pick up trash on the side of the road. So, yeah.
Don't say we just drive down the street, that's huge. Just sounds like, just a slice of pizza, but like, you're into the whole pie, it's really beautiful, good work.
Thank you.
So, just FYI, Tony Weinstein's organizing the annual
Yes.
cleanup on the 27th.
So we have a civics class in my school, and in order to pass the class, you need to get a certain amount of points, and a big part of it is joining or participating in a roadside cleanup of some sort. So I did let her know, and she did post it, so hopefully a few students will show up.
Great. Yeah, and I've got bags. We can talk about, it's on our agenda too for Tony, so we can talk about that later, but I've got bags for people. Down at the end, I think. Yeah, under events.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else have anything else from the outside world? Any affiliations to talk about? Okay. Land conservation. Rosa, the budget and next steps.
All right, just me again.
Yep.
So you got a handout. If anybody needs one, we've got some extras here. So as you know, we've been talking about this project. There's a map on the back to remind you. And we've been getting some assistance from the Southeast Land Trust to help us through this process. The appraisal was completed in February for the property. And if you remember, there's about 16 acres in Newmarket and about 24 acres in Durham. And the way the thought process has been is that the Rosas are interested in selling the Durham piece, so that would be a fee acquisition, and they are interested in keeping the Newmarket piece, so that would be a conservation easement. And it was important to identify that because that's how an appraisal is done. They have to know what the mechanisms are going to be. So the appraisal's done, so we have a number, and we'll get to that budget. It's on the next page. And really the rest is just some of the information about the property, I think most of which we've talked about a little bit, and you've seen some of the maps. And so it's a really, it's a great property. It's got a lot of really cool values. It's got, connectivity to other conservation land, and it's within one of our focus areas that we identified in the open space plan. And we've talked about potential recreational trail possibly connecting into Durham. So the big thing, of course, is the budget and revenue. So if you look at the CELT has a really nice way of putting together budgets. So that again,
It's a nice looking budget.
yeah, they've been helping us with it. So if you look on the expenses part, you can see the acquisition costs. So even though the conservation easement piece is fewer acres than the Durham piece, it's quite a bit more because that's where the development potential is, because has access to Wadley Falls Road. So that's why that value is much higher than the Durham piece. And then if you go down, there's always legal costs, attorney fees, title work, the boundary survey, and these are their best estimates. And CELT's done a lot of projects, so these are their best estimates. So they could be slightly higher, they could be slightly lower. You always do a hazardous waste assessment. This is just, a firm goes around and walks the property to see if there's any old dumps or any obvious spills or barrels or things like that. Typically there's not, but it's just a due diligence, something you do. Appraisal, we did the initial one, and because this project presumably won't, if we, get all the way through, won't close until next year, you usually have to do a second appraisal because you have to be within a certain number of months of the closing. So he's put in another appraisal. And then some pretty minor closing costs. And then if you look under project management, this is somewhat unique for us. So we're paying CELT some money to help us with this project management, coming up with this. They're actually putting together the LCHIP application, which we'll talk about in a second, in terms of one of the funding sources, which is a really big lift.
Are they doing the moose plate?
We can decide, because Bart thought once we have the LCHIP, we could probably do the other ones, but you're right, the moose one is also kind of painful.
Nobody wants to do the moose.
So, and the thing that we haven't done in the past, and most towns haven't, is, and something that land trusts always do, is in terms of project costs, there's always stewardship money. So if it's a fee, money goes in for actually managing the land, and if it's an easement, it's for managing and monitoring the easement. In this case, we have both. And so they've put in, they estimate, they calculate, a reasonable value for those two things. And so that money would come to the conservation fund, those two line items, and it would help us steward that property. It would go into our conservation fund so we could use it to help steward other properties, but it's a way to start building our fund because we have these properties in town to manage. And so it's something we all should have been doing, town should have been doing, but it's just not something that town just didn't do it. And a lot of times because people would donate the property and then asking them for more money to steward the land it's just really difficult, right?
Sorry,
yeah.
misunderstood. Were you saying that we would hold those two?
Yes, those monies are put in there for us, for the town. So if this were the land trust acquiring the properties,
Right.
those monies would go to them. But because we're potentially acquiring the lands, those those monies would go into our conservation fund.
Oh, I thought that was my question,
Yeah.
really, if we were creating those two
No, I think they would
funds.
just go into the conservation. I think it would be up to us to just keep a line item that this is what the intent is, and we're not supposed to spend it on something like acquisition.
It's
supposed
kind of
to be
like what the
good.
Shanda fund was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we wouldn't actually create a separate fund.
They can just create a line item in there, like they do the channel fund.
And so that cost could like specifically go to paying CELT for monitoring our
Exactly.
easements for us at
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Would that money be dedicated to only be used on that property?
No,
specifically?
no, you
Goes
create
into
it
a
as a,
general-
yeah, so you
a
start
general type
building the
fund
fund,
for it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's the idea, yeah. You would
That's
agree?
just how the land trust does it.
Yeah,
Well, and ours would have less restrictions, because I know like for Bear Paws, we can only take out a certain amount every
Yeah.
year, but I think
Right.
since we're a conservation commission, it doesn't
Right.
have those
Right.
restrictions, we would
But we wouldn't be able
not
to
be held
use
to the
it.
5%.
Oh, yeah. But we
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to use it to purchase other lands.
No, the
It would
idea would be
literally-
for this, yeah,
so you'd have to
exactly.
Just make sure
Yep.
that it's followed. yeah.
Right. So, so that's why then, you get to the budget is 401,000 plus. And so the revenue sources, as you'll see, this will still be, it's a bit of a lift for our community, but it's a really great property. And so if you go down, so if you look at LCHIP, so again, CELT is submitting an application for us, and he's got 80,000. I think he was gonna drop that to 75, but anyway, 75, 80,000. And that would be so if CELT will only contribute up to 50% of your project costs. And we, as a town, can't put money into acquiring, we can hold land in another town, but we can't put money into buying a piece of property in another town. It's just not something our town wants to do. So the LCHIP money would go to help purchase the Durham property, and the money that we contribute from the conservation fund would go toward acquiring the easement, which actually works because we need a lot more money for the Newmarket piece, so this will work out.
Well, we're literally just shifting money from the conservation fund into a maintenance fund. Because the contribution into the maintenance funds is
Yeah,
31,000.
we're shifting,
Is
right, yeah.
more than we're contributing toward
Good
the
point,
purchase.
exactly,
So
yeah.
we're literally just moving.
So, but it
Getting
does,
more
it helps
back.
us rebuild our funds, so we don't use them up. So we can start, I wanted to end with the warrant article, because that's sort of, you back into that piece of it based on the other potential funding sources. And so what we're hoping to do is LCHIP, Moose Plate, as Tom mentioned, 30,000. The Lamprey Advisory Committee is 100,000, which is a pretty big lift, but I think they have funds, and Fallsbrook is really important for them too, because it's a tributary to Piscassic and Wamansini.
It's really a key piece.
Yeah, when you look at the map, you start to
Really
see
neat.
that it's, so we think we're fairly optimistic about some of these funding sources. And then the Great Bay Resource Protection Partnership, you can also apply to them for acquisition money. And the reason it's 21.5 is you apply for $20,000 for transaction costs, which is a lot of the stuff above. And then we can apply for the second appraisal, half of the second appraisal, so that's why it comes to 21.5. And then Fields Pond is a private foundation that land trusts often apply to, but municipalities can. And so Ben Engel at South thought we might have a good chance of getting money from Fields Pond. So those are the sources that we could identify, and so that's why we then back into, we still need $125,000 to complete the project. And Bart, we've talked about, going for a warrant article next spring, because we don't have enough money in the conservation fund to, we would basically be out of money, which is not a good, we don't want to be there.
It's really just about, 30% of the total project.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good deal. I would hope people would like that.
right.
I mean, it's good leverage.
Right, in terms of the money we're able to get from other places, it's a pretty good leverage, so that's the proposal. The appraisal grant for half the appraisal is going in tomorrow. LCHIP is due, I think, the end of June. And you find out, it's the end of June, I think, right? And so then as soon as that package is done, we can apply to Fields Pond anytime. Moose Plate, I think, is September due date. The Great Bay Partnership, I don't remember when their deadline is for that. I know we're
They
just
have a
submitting
fall
one.
one and a
I
spring
think they have a
one,
fall and a
yeah.
spring one. And then so those are the three, and LRAC we can go to any time. So the thought, I think, is as soon as you know, what we decide tonight, if you're supportive. So, yeah, so I didn't miss the conservation fund. So, we're looking at around 26, but it says 25,480 from the conservation fund as a contribution. And some of the previous projects we've done, probably in the last 10 years, we've given like 75,000 to a couple, and so this is actually, you know, a smaller proportion. And we have 100, and as I mentioned, we have 131. We have a bunch of commitments, and if we did this, it would bring us down to, if the Mitchell project goes through and we give the 13, we'd be down to about 89,000. But then we'd be getting this stewardship money back, so we'd have some money in the stewardship fund, so we'd still have, you know, we're still sort of maintaining our balance, if you will. Yeah, so this proposal, just wanted to lay it out and open it up for discussion and questions and thoughts, concerns, any,
It's really well laid out.
I was gonna say the same.
Clear and
Yeah.
definitely the needs very clearly stated.
How do they come up with the values for the funds? Is it a function of acreage of each, or?
For the stewardship.
For the-
Yeah, they do $11 an acre is salt stewardship cost, from what I know.
I don't know what their calculation is, but they have a value for each.
1,100?
$11 per acre. First, that's how much it costs per acre to steward it.
And then they take it out, they
Yeah,
run it
there's-
out a bunch of years.
yeah,
So
there's-
$11 per acre per year?
Per acre, yes.
Oh,
okay, there you
Yes,
go. Okay,
sorry.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Yeah,
$11 per acre per year.
different places have
Yeah.
different calculations, but it's just the same basic stuff taken into account.
And so the next steps, besides submitting these grants, is Bart will talk to town manager and council, because this is a bit of a unique project in terms of the two towns.
Like one.
And then during this, before the LTIP submittal, which is accurate, we need to have a purchase and sales agreement with the landowner, the Roses, which we don't have yet. So it's just been verbal negotiations, and now we have a full budget. And so I'm assuming Bart's going to talk to the town manager and make sure, you know, just so he knows, and then we'll go engage the town attorney and work with the Roses to develop a purchase and sales agreement, which will be based on that we can raise this money by sometime next year, is usually how it works, so.
Is there a reason for 125 by warrant and 25 from conservation fund?
No, we could change that. So those two are the things that we have flexibility about, and I think we went with a bit lower in the conservation fund because my sense is we're not going to get much more land use change tax. We're kind of built out. And
I was wondering about going the other way with it, exactly, like,
go less, you mean?
could you ask for 150 and just, I mean, does any have to come from the conservation fund?
130.
Is there an obligation for
No,
money to come now?
but we have it, and I think people would look, you know, we have that money there, and it seems like even maybe some from the conservation
Yeah.
fund I could see would be of benefit to show the
It
town.
was
that
13,000 we're giving to the Mitchell.
13, and the rest is coming from the bond, yeah.
Okay, so I was wondering maybe matching that would, if you wanted to go lower, at least matching what we're giving to that. But
Mitchell's much larger too.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was.
Well, I was thinking about the amount that we're saying we need to put aside for 40 acres of land
Yeah.
or so, right?
Mhm.
Because we have hundreds and
Yeah.
hundreds of acres throughout town, and only have 80,000 left in the,
Yeah,
and we'll have 80 and then 30, 80 and then 30 already seeded into this
yep.
fund. Like you said, it's not going to be easy to capture. I don't know if there's been any change of use.
We haven't had it in like 2 years. And if you look at the list of current use properties, there's not very many. And, I mean, I can't imagine there's not gonna be a lot.
I like that point.
I just don't know how the town, if I, as a citizen, if I was voting on something and if it was 150 versus 125, whether,
Yeah.
I don't know that amount would
And
feel
you just have
different.
to figure, I guess, what is the best, at least 13, maybe 15 into it. But, yeah, cutting that back sounds great.
Yeah, I just didn't know if there was like a matrix that they use to figure kind of what
No.
usually would pass a town warrant article and.
No, no, we didn't, so we could, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Anybody have would you want to do,
So a warrant article, that goes to the town council, or is that talked out at town meeting to get onto the?
I think the council approves the warrant articles, right?
I think warrant articles go to town meeting first. But no, we do look at them, but.
Yeah, because I think
so-
you can say you approve them or not, and then you
Yeah,
have to do a
and then-
tax
yeah,
impact.
yeah.
The
And so-
budget committee will
yes.
do that, too.
I don't, what would how does, from a council perspective, do you think asking for 125 or 150,000 is a big leap to, or difference? Or?
Honestly, it's hard to tell. It's, it's not been a great year economically, but, if the case is well presented, I can see it being passed.
So 150 versus 125?
Yeah.
I threw 150 out just to absorb all of it, but I'm not saying that's what it needs to be or anything.
Are you looking for a figure?
Yeah, I think we need a figure tonight, because Bart needs to take that,
Okay.
we need to take that forward, Neil Chip needs to, or Ben needs it, but, yeah, I'm flexible, I feel like it wouldn't be hurt to have some money from the conservation fund, even
Yeah,
if it
let's
was like
say-
5,000 or 10,000.
Yeah. So add 15,000. 140,000.
Make it even 140. Would that work for people? It's like, selling a house, you don't want 50, but 140 sounds better.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds better than
139.99.
Yeah, 139.
With a TurtleFest t-shirt.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's see, what does that do? Let's do the math here. So what do we take 15 off? So it's 10,480. We could probably put that 480 somewhere else, I suppose, but I'm not sure why. 480 there. So,
I would defer to people who have been involved in lots of these too, that maybe would say like, oh geez, I don't know if you should do that. It doesn't look like Concom has enough skin in the game or something, who knows? Who knows? But
yeah, I think that was part of Ben's, he was a little concerned about that. Or Dwayne Hyde is their main conservation director. He was maybe a little concerned that, well, what if we could do this. We could say, well, the two numbers together, we approve. So we're going to break it up between a warrant article and some money from the conservation fund, not to exceed 25,480. But have a little bit more discussion with Selt and Bart, and
Sounds great.
see if we can adjust it. We prefer to be less from the conservation fund just because our balance is going to start decreasing. Is that a fair way to approach it, and let the negotiations kind of decide? And then it'll go to the council?
I think that sounds good, to defer
Is
to
that-
them that may
Yeah.
know more than, we're kind of just going off what we kind of feel and throwing around numbers, so, yeah, I
And
think.
Steve, the council may know that, geez, there's some other really big issue bonds that are coming up next spring, so maybe a bit less. I don't know, it might be worth a little bit more conversation about that, so.
So
would
saying
that-
I'd like to see it a lot lower, but
Yeah.
if they say there's no way that would work, then they've been
Yep.
through it, they're experts at it. They're more
So, yeah, let's just say, 25,480 is the cap, but we prefer quite a bit lower, even if it could be all warrant article or at least a minimal amount from the fund. Is that
Yeah, that gives
capturing
you
what
good
people
flexibility.
Between
feel is-
10, we want,
Yeah.
and between 10,
Yeah,
480 and
'cause-
25, 480.
Yeah,
Especially
Less
with the
than what we
reasoning
throw at
about what's
Mitchell makes
available
sense.
out there for
Yeah.
us to play with.
yeah. Okay, that sounds good. I like that. All right, so can we have a motion to approve that? So it'll be 150,480 split between the warrant article and the conservation fund, with the least amount from the conservation fund that seems reasonable with our partners.
I'll make a motion
Does
to
that sound good?
that,
Okay.
yes.
All right, a second?
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? Great, all in favor, say aye.
Yep.
I guess I was supposed to be you, but that's all right.
I was gonna say, what you just said could have been the motion, and then you
Yeah.
could have seconded it.
Yeah.
Good, okay, so that's great.
Which means we really like what you said.
Yes.
Thank you. Got it, myself there. All right, excellent.
Mitchell,
Just they're working through the process. I think it's, they're reviewing things, second appraisal, the survey's done. It's federal money coming into the state, which I think they have. I don't know if you've heard anything about Fish and Wildlife Service funds.
No.
But, yeah, I think it's still going
Yeah.
forward, but it's always a little dicey these days.
Everyone's on their troubles.
Yeah, but so far so good.
There's someone to write the check, the money will come.
Yeah, I think they have, I think it's more, the problem is they have to review the appraisal and they had to redo the appraisal because again, it's that year goes by. And
Yeah.
it's the people who are supposed to review it, one at the state and one at the feds. And it's a Fish and Wildlife Service, and I just heard yesterday or something, they laid off some people in Fish and Wildlife Service.
There's nobody up there.
So I don't, yeah, that's the problem, is who,
Yeah.
or will they allow a process to go forward if they don't have the people that used to review these things?
Yeah.
No idea. So, that's it.
that's
Yep,
floating.
Yeah.
yep, flowing,
I said floating.
floating, floating, floating.
Okay. TurtleFest planning. So we have quite a few things to talk about with TurtleFest, since we're now at the calendar point where it's just about exactly a month away.
We've one more meeting before it that week, is that? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So there should be another meeting probably of
Yeah,
the
we need a turtle
planning
fest meeting.
group.
Yeah.
I will say, quick update here, I do have, well, I guess I do this later, but t-shirt for Zach, and 3 for Julie.
Cool, thanks.
And the money goes to Bridget, because Bridget's handing the money in to Carol. And we have Jess and Lauren to deal with, okay. Now, if we look at the chart that was in one of the attachments you got, we have, we'll just go down this list up here. Any updates about marketing? We have the flyer is in a few places around town. If you folks could print off another one and notice in your flight plans where you might stick one or put a couple or ask people to display it. Press and other outlets is underway. Bridget, did you receive a lengthier article that can go in the e-newsletter? There, I sent a lengthier article for the newsletter for you and Tim to look at and get into this week's electronic news. And keep putting this, you didn't get this?
No.
Ooh. Okay, that's BAD, let's find out why.
I got an email from you, but the only thing attached was the t-shirt design.
All right, I'll check into that and get this to you. Yeah, I'm trusting that it got to Tim.
Yeah.
Maybe there was something not correct about
Okay.
your address.
Yeah.
All right, so Bridget, Jess, Ellen, Bridget again, and me are involved with that. Any other kind of updates about event map with directions, for instance, Ellen? Oh,
I think
Bridget.
we have that,
Oh,
so,
that was the map you were talking about earlier?
yeah.
Yeah.
You made the map of the,
Yeah.
yeah.
And those will be available, the day of is ample for those, right?
Yeah, I can print a bunch of them,
Okay. Funding, massive effort. Thank you, Ellen, for your reports about who has been involved in donating the funds that you've gotten so far for this.
Yeah, the private business is $17.50. I think we finally got the last check, which is amazing.
That is amazing.
Wow.
And we've got them on the flyer, and we're gonna have a little poster on our,
Oh, yeah,
Display,
I got
right?
those all upstairs, all the
Nice.
posters.
It's great that they all want to support it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
great.
cool, yeah.
Yeah, that was really, really remarkable effort, really wonderful. We should probably get that to Tim as well, to have that scroll at periodic times, and
That's
but
good.
just open air on the, so you two can deal with that? Okay. T-shirts. So we have, there's 3 boxes there with various sizes. If somebody that didn't order one yet wants one tonight, or arrange to come get one, I'm going to ask Bridget and Lauren from the library to work together to figure out how many Lauren wants to come and take and put in the first wave of t-shirts being sold through the library, and the rest of them between Summit Town Hall, maybe down with Terry, or however we've talked about doing that, or how you can coordinate with Town Hall for those. all the money ends up back with Bridget to get to Carol. And the library will also be giving the money to you to give to Carol. Somehow you and Lauren can talk about how you're gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Maybe keep track of it.
Yeah, yep. Exhibits, where are we with exhibits?
So
getting
we're
there.
gonna work on one. I think Wright Pierce is gonna have one, Fish and Game's going to have one. I think, New Hampshire Total Rescue might have one. I'm not sure I have the full
Who was
list.
the one you just said?
New Hampshire Turtle Rescue and Fish and Game. I've asked people, there's a bunch of other events actually going, everybody's got, May is probably the
Yeah.
time, so there's other events going on, but, I think we'll have a bunch.
Nature Conservancy,
I haven't asked them, I need to reach out to them. I suspect they've got a lot going on, but,
they are all over the place.
yeah, it might be hard for them, but,
Did you ask South?
yes, I asked Self, they've got an event that day too, but they might try to get something there, so. I've asked Nature Groupie, everybody's kind of straight out, but.
Yeah. Well, we'll make this the one that they
Yeah.
choose next year to tell other people we're
Exactly.
too busy, we've already got something going on.
Yeah.
Speakers, what can we say about,
Everybody's set.
everybody's
The
set?
three, yep.
AV is all set with the high school, who will be helping, who will be the high school behind the scenes?
I know
tech
Bart, I'm
person.
assuming Bart knows how to do everything there, but we should, yeah, is there an AV person at the school?
A lot of the time students volunteering to do it, like the High School Musical is this weekend.
Okay.
And I'm doing it, so a lot of people are students doing it, so
Okay.
I would check.
All right, we'll talk with Bart and we'll figure that out. Yeah, should be fine.
Should be fine.
No, I mean, we'll work it out before the
We
day.
do, what could possibly go wrong?
No. Put that down for me and Bart and Bridget.
All right, so it says Ellen, I'm gonna add Bart and Bridget here. Bart and Bridget, all
Make sure
right.
the mics are on.
Yeah. It'll work.
Restaurants, Zach and Colander, have you had any chance to ask anybody if they're interested in any kind of promo or help or support for this?
Well, we split the list. What do we have, 16 starting out?
Yeah.
Wow.
And split the list. You want to go first?
Yeah, so far on my list we got Riverworks and Johnny Boston's both agreed. And I am going to meet with Basil Leaf this weekend, I believe, to see if they might want to participate too. But sent out like either emails or I stopped by whoever was like open. So might still hear back from a few others, but so far we at least have those two confirmed.
Are you at liberty to share what Riverworks or Johnny Boston, JBI have to offer, or what might that look
So
like?
we just went out with like a standard kind of, this is what the opportunity is, like they would offer 15% off, and we'll include them on a card, and anyone on that card, any restaurant on that card, participants would be able to take and get 15% off at that restaurant.
Their total bill.
Yeah.
1.5,
Wow.
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
So I went out and hand delivered them all, my 8 or 9, whatever it was, and I only got kume. But I think, going in, I spoke to people at the counter, not necessarily the owner or the manager. So I'm going to spend tomorrow to see if we can get a couple more. I mean, if we end up with 3 or 4, that's what we have.
Yeah.
They'll be
It's a
happy.
great maiden voyage, sure.
Yeah.
But, if we end up with 10, that'd be great. But, so, I think, and I don't know who this came from, maybe Ellen, that tomorrow is kind of the deadline, because if we want to get it into the printing mode, then we're going to need some confirmation who's in. So, I'm thinking tomorrow is the deadline, unless we want to push that out till next week. What's the thought there?
To work on it. Yeah, so if you want to check with Basil Leaf this weekend, it's fine.
Did somebody talk to Wing It?
I went in, yeah.
Okay, because my friend just started working there, so I might have a higher up
Oh.
connection
Oh.
There you go.
to push that along.
At which place did you just say?
Wing It?
Oh, yep.
He's their social media person now because they're
Oh,
going to be
perfect.
franchising apparently. But I could see
Yeah,
or
see
Judge Night,
see if they got the flyers
They
that we
definitely,
gave.
and he can get the word to the boss, and yeah, if you, so you have a flyer that,
Yeah.
okay,
So we had 2 sheets, one which was just the event itself, and the other was
The ask.
the opportunity,
Okay.
the ask. Yeah.
yeah.
And if you want me to get you a copy of that.
That would be great,
Do you
yeah.
have one tonight?
If you can just email it to me, I'll push it.
Yeah, we definitely have it in email. though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
email's easier, yeah, I'll do that.
You should add June's Cafe, which is the old Horseshoe Cafe.
Will they be open?
They believe they're open like sort of any day now.
Oh, wow.
But it's worth asking, just so they feel like they're in the fold of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their sister ship is Lil's over in Kittery, if anybody knows about Lil's. Lovely products, lovely coffee, breakfast sandwiches,
Yeah, I can stop by there
sandwiches.
tomorrow.
They're gonna make the same stuff.
Pardon?
They're gonna make the same stuff that they make at Lowe's? Same baked goods? I know we're not allowed to promote, but I'm just curious.
I know,
It sounded like it was just a little dinner place, like.
no, it's breakfast and lunch.
Oh, okay.
Dynamite cruller things that are
Oh.
cloud-like
Oh.
and really,
Oh, the
Yum.
crullers at like Northwood, they like brewing, like those ones? Oh,
they're round, like tractor tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we're free of advertisements here.
Yes. Just talking about yummy food.
Just talking about yummy stuff, that's right. All right, so you folks are able to get what you need to where you need and work with Bridget for the graphics and the actual thing that's going to be handed out that day. All right, day of, and I hate to sound like a ninny, but the day of, I just really want to have us really know about the marching orders and the who's doing what and where and when, because we don't have a way to fill these things in and suddenly say like, oh, Creamer, I'll run up to Blueberry or what. We can't do that. We really have to be like here, base camping and knowing who's doing what. Let's start with the easy one, the bird walk. And fill us in a little bit, Julie, about the bird walk, what else do you need, and what Seacoast is thinking, or how has the response been through Seacoast Audubon?
Yeah, I mean, everything's, not much to say. We'll meet there. I did it nice and early so I wouldn't feel too crowded. You know, you gotta be dedicated to come and wanna look at birds, because I feel like that, you could easily get 40 people if it's a nice day. So I'm trying to maybe deter that giant crowd by
There's more birds.
being at 7:30. Yeah, and especially that time of year, migration's gonna be great. So it'll be a perfect time to get out there, and it's gonna be a beautiful sunny day.
We did pay the weather insurance, right, Ellen?
Yes, yes, we doubled down on that. Seacoast Audubon is, they're doing a new sign-up Genius. They don't, from what I understand, they don't cap their events, but at least having a sign-up Genius on their end, they can know who's coming, so if they cancel, they can let people know. I'm not so worried. We're just advertising it to Newmarket folks to come if they want to come.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I'll hear from at least anyone who signed up. I'll have a list from anyone who heard about it from the Seacoast side. And then it'll be nice to see those people and maybe shoot them an email and be like, hey, stick around for the rest of the day as part of it. But I think in the advertisement, it's on the Seacoast Audubon website. It does mention as part of Newmarket TurtleFest. So they were happy to be kind of co-sponsoring this walk. I did step in as vice president for that board as well. So it's a great little board. They are the most active chapter of Audubon in New Hampshire.
By far.
Yeah, no other Audubon chapter does field trips and events like they do. So I'm also leading a walk for them in April and June. So if you want to bird with me another time at a more decent hour, those are on their website. But yeah, looking forward to it. Head over to Wigan Farm, walk across that new bridge. I'll probably visit the days leading up to it, so I got my ear going and know what's out there. But yeah, other than that, I'm excited. Spring migration is upon us.
What time is that again?
7:30. Yeah.
Nice. Assist with walk, you're going to certainly be
Yeah, I'm
there as
hoping
well?
to join you.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Please do.
Sounds wonderful.
And my other walks also are for Audubon, just a plug for anyone who wants to come, are going to be on Neal Mill Road out the Piscassic Greenway. So going to look at the birds on the boardwalk each season and kind of see how that changes.
Nice. Then the other end of the event is the wetland field trip, 1 until 3. Can you fill us in a little bit there, Ellen? Am I making that up, or isn't Josh
Yeah.
Legacy
Yeah, he's
leading
gonna
that?
kind of lead that. He's gonna put out some traps the day before, the kind of turtle traps they use to capture turtles. So it'll be, I park at the rec, or the Rockingham Rail Trail Ballroom parking area, and we'll just walk into that big wetland and talk about wetlands, talk about turtles, talk about whatever we see, same thing, there'll be probably some
Yeah.
birds and stuff out there. So,
Very cool.
yeah, pretty relaxed, but yeah, no sign-ups, just whoever shows up. And we'll announce it so people can meet us there. I don't think we need to, there's pretty big parking there, I think, right? I don't know if they've changed the parking. Have they
They've changed the parking a bit, but it's even bigger than
It's
it.
bigger,
Yeah,
yeah, it's the
it's
lot right
still-
next to the ballroom.
still big, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot across
Yeah,
the street. from
plenty,
the
yep,
Mhm.
yep.
It gets pretty busy there on weekends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bicycle
If it's
thing
a
is
nice
huge
day. Yeah.
right now.
If it's a nice day, sometimes I think it's just
Yeah.
full.
Will the Ashmont Bridge still be closed, May 10th?
I'm
I
hoping.
asked town council at the planning board meeting, and they said a few weeks, but they didn't really, this is basically to ask Lindsay Butler, the town engineer, about how long, do you have to know that?
No.
My thought is hopefully they don't overlap, like maybe
I
they
know.
pushed out the railroad one so it doesn't overlap, because that, I don't even know how I would get
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, like,
around
there's so many things that are gonna be
if
closed.
you
I'm
block
like,
the railroad on, and
Well,
that,
they were gonna
yeah.
overlap. I mean,
Yeah,
they
so I'm
still
wondering
might.
if they won't, I
They
don't
still,
know.
they still
Yeah.
probably will.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing where it's just like
Change my
we
grocery
have
store.
our road plan, they have their road plan, and we don't have any control. As you can see with them changing it last minute, we have no
Yeah.
control. So even
Yeah.
if we moved it, we could have just still ended up on the same day. And also, want to get it done sooner rather than,
So hopefully it'll all be wrapped up by May 10th.
Yeah, sounds like it might, you said April 20th in 5 days or something,
Something like that.
so. Yeah, so I think field trip we're good.
Alrighty, so let's go back to the top of this day, signs and parking. Are we able to have, for instance, that police sign with the little light bulbs that they program to say certain things?
The one, the school thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bart's gonna have the school put it on the school board thing.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
not the little trailer one, but the school sign one.
Yeah, the one that's right there by the parking lot. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's gonna go on there.
Okay. An exhibit setup. Emma, high school clubs. You folks are going to be there and help the exhibits or
Yeah,
help
help with the-
people ambling
Nice.
in.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Thank you for that. Do we have an update from Bart? This one's pretty extensive. It's the coffee, cream, sugar, hot water, oil, water, fresh fruit, granola bars, homemade pastries. Get in. Bart has gotten a hold of somebody for coffee, do you know?
Yeah, he has confirmed it, but I don't really know other details. I just know that he has talked to them and they said, no problem.
Okay, so he's got the whole coffee set up. What are we thinking about, where are we with the idea of any of the other things? The water, fresh fruit, granola bars, homemade pastries.
Water, we'll just get people are supposed to bring their own water bottle, so we'll have like a big thing of water. Or there's a fountain, right?
Yeah, there's a
Water
bunch
fountain,
of
right?
Yeah, there's those
Yeah,
fountains.
so we don't need that, so we need water.
That's good. That's what I was gonna say. We're not shopping in a bottle of Nestle's pure fine, whatever, plastic, whatever,
Nope.
okay.
We should have some snack.
What do we think about that? Fresh fruit, granola bars, homemade pastries.
Who's gonna make the pastries?
I'm thinking June's Cafe, but I guess.
That's what I was thinking.
I was gonna say, Bear Paw gets a bunch of volunteers to make them, we don't have that.
You know,
force.
we have, so talking about the budget second, so we have, we're gonna give a donation to New Hampshire Turtle Rescue, which might be $500 or $600. And we really have no other expenses, because the t-shirts are paying for themselves, that's a, we're actually gonna make.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah,
Some
could be
pastries.
an out, so why don't we just buy some nice, can we buy some pastries from that place?
I should think so.
Or does that sound like a plan?
Yeah.
We can figure that
If
out?
they can't, a backup Ginger Fox or Sure. I'm just thinking,
Right.
yeah, or I guess they already have their location in Portsmouth, so they could probably, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Ginger Fox is not so handheldy. I mean, it's, I'm not gonna sound really stupid. I'll finish my sentence. Ginger
Yeah.
Fox is more knife and forky and like
They have
French
scones
pastry and
I
plates and
guess,
stuff
yeah.
than it is like
I'm just
walking around
thinking
and eating.
another option if we need another breakfast option.
The
Yeah.
tricky thing here is how many people
many,
are
yeah.
we pastrying for?
Yeah.
That's the tricky thing. It can go south if we said like, oh, let's not go overboard, and we didn't go overboard, and then people are standing around like, well, how come I didn't have a fill in the
Right.
blank?
Right.
It is hard to judge.
It's really hard to judge.
Which would be a reason probably to diversify it, have some pastries, but get those granola bars
Yeah.
that would be easy to reuse on a work day or something, and things that we can easily, won't go bad.
You're gonna just take them out on the afternoon walk.
Yeah.
or
Right,
something.
exactly.
Or give the school the environmental club. to
Yeah,
use
Department,
ours,
thank
yeah.
you for your wonderful efforts this morning,
Yeah.
plugging the
All right.
stuff in when we couldn't.
I think we can figure that out.
Everyone loves
Yeah.
fresh fruit, so that'd be easy to purchase a couple of fruit trays from Hannaford or wherever, and, yeah. Diversify.
Ellen, do you wanna, you and I can talk about
Yeah.
that, buying that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay,
Jess might be willing to help with that too.
okay.
I bet.
So that looks like we have, children's activities, I think the library is quite
Yeah, they're
self-standing. This is their jam. This is,
Yeah.
they do this on a regular basis. I don't think they need anything from us, but we might find out more when we have the planning committee meeting that's
Yeah,
from
I got
department
you.
heads. All right, looks like that's everything on this list. Any other
Stone-
ideas or any
Stone
I
other?
just wanted to talk about the music too.
Oh, yeah, that's not on here. Music, 3 to 6, I'm
Because we
sorry.
kind of, and so he did get, so I've been working with Patrick Fitzgibbons. He's the biologist with Fish and Game, very close with Josh because he used to do the turtles and now does the rabbits. But he's also in a local band, Sneaky Miles. And he is close with the Stone Church, so he has gotten the Stone Church to give us the space for a little show. The bands are all performing for free for us, volunteering their time. It is going to start at 2:30, so there will be some overlap, but I think that's good because then music is already going, the Turtle Walk finishes up, people come over and stuff is going on at the Stone Church. So 2:30 to 6, Kate Posey, John Nolan, and then Sneaky Miles will be finishing out the time there. They play there a lot. I know all my friends are going to be coming, and I hope that they come. Like it's a real drive, I think, to get people to come and participate in the day, and then come for that in the afternoon or later afternoon. One thing was we had emailed a little bit the planning people about having a commission table at the Stone Church. And Patrick also wanted to see if New Hampshire Turtle Rescue may be interested in representing themselves there. And then it was if we are raising money while we're there, do we let New Hampshire Turtle Rescue try to raise money? Do we also, does that matter? And then also between sets, does New Hampshire Turtle Rescue, whoever want to get up and say something, thank everybody for coming, kind of have a closing out the day kind of little speech. So that's just kind of what's in my mind. I'm really excited that we get to have this to finish out the day. The bands are going to be announcing the show. If not today, tomorrow. We have a little poster going out. So yeah, and a nice little piece that I think will definitely carry over. They're all wicked excited about participating. So
Indoor or outdoor?
indoor stage, yeah. Yep.
I think we had talked earlier about it's free, but we could have T-shirts for sale.
Yes.
I didn't picture anything else other than, for Carol's benefit, if nothing else, straightforward, here's $20, here's the 20s,
Cool.
$20 is for T-shirts. That'll be so much easier
Yeah.
than other kind of donations, I think.
I think that sounds
I
great.
wouldn't squelch Turtle Rescue if they wanted to come and have some donation thing, but I also don't know
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
much
Great.
of time they're gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they want
Be out
to or
of the
not. He
house,
was going
yeah.
to talk to them and
Yeah.
see, because he worked for one of them and is close with them too.
Yeah,
So
I think they're
yeah.
coming on the field trip, so.
Yeah,
that'd be-
oh, cool, great. Yeah, and I know since Pat's at Fish and Game, he said all the biologists are coming. They're all excited. They're all coming out, yeah.
Nice,
So, yeah, should be a fun time.
nice.
Excellent.
And the kitchen's open at some point, so people could buy food?
Yeah, I assume they'll just be open. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can buy dinner there. Their food is good and full bar, so, yeah.
Sounds good. Looks like that's this list. Anybody else have anything to say? Or does anybody else want to right now say to anybody whose name you've heard, yep, I will help with thus and such, or I can be thus and suching with you? We'll be wearing TurtleFest t-shirts,
Yeah.
don't we? Totally. Any other comments about the day or things that you might need or want, or high school sounds pretty self-sufficient here?
What time, if we had a couple people join us for volunteering, what time would you want us to be there?
Oh, I think 7:30.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think 7:30.
Yeah,
Mhm. Although if somebody said, oh, that's truly for me, I'll come at 8, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you start with the 7:30 question, I think that's the most constructive and helpful for us. Anything else?
Coupons when you go to the restaurant.
Yeah, Bridget, we're gonna, once you get the
We're gonna
restaurant
make
names and
something
the
up with
logos,
all the restaurants
Yeah.
listed on it.
yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, and we have like heavier like cardstock paper too, so it's not like people crumpling in
Yeah.
their pockets, yeah.
Great.
And just follow up, do send me that, because my friend is the marketing person, so he'd be the person to send this to. So we might be good on wing its, hopefully, we'll see, yeah.
That's cool. And then it's for lunch or dinner, which I think is nice, because then
Oh,
people
great,
could
yeah.
go later if they want,
Mhm.
because lunch will be, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so push the poster out with ways that you can, or places that you go, or what's in your flight plan, that could be helpful.
Oh, is Stone Church on your list too to ask? 'Cause
I dropped it off.
Okay, because
there.
I wonder if they would offer while we're, there,
right.
that, I don't
Bringing a lot
know.
of people.
Yeah, we'd be bringing a lot of people, and people order food, yeah.
I didn't
just
hear
thought.
back from
Yeah.
them, but when I reach back out, I'll try to.
Cool, and I can mention it to Pat since he's working with the owners for this as well, so, yeah, cool.
Nice. Any other comments about TurtleFest planning? Ellen, can you work with the reps from the various committee, like the library and Bart and whatnot, to get us together for
Yeah,
another
we
meeting?
did, yeah, I'll get them.
Thank you.
Yep, next week.
Okay, projects land stewardship, prime wetlands mapping.
All right, I think I mentioned earlier, so Bart is working on the abutters list, and then there'll be a letter that would go to the abutters. I'm not quite sure the order of that, and then going to planning board and how that will work, but that's the next process. Otherwise, I think our piece of it is, for now, we're letting that take its course. We are going to do Mark West will do a site visit at some point when we want to do a walk, and it might be with the planning board or something. We might schedule some joint thing. I think that might be a good idea. So that's all I have for Pine Wetlands.
Nice.
Can you
Wigan
give
Farm,
me-
boardwalk replacements.
Yay, finally got done, woo!
great.
Thanks to Colin, who helped with some dismantling and some other parts, and me and Trini. And then Jeff and Ian from Martin Forestry built the boardwalk. It's almost like flat. If you remember the old one, it was like this. So
Yeah.
now it's like, it looks good. And it's these helical piers, and so it's a bit experimental, so hopefully, fingers crossed, it's all gonna be hold up. But
Stays flat.
it stays flat. Yeah, it doesn't go kittywampus, but no, it looks really good. And so Colin took some of there was a few extra boards, so he took those and maybe can reuse them for another trail. And then I'll have DPW go out and pick up the remains there's a pile of stuff out there that will have to be
There's a
disposed
lot.
of. Yeah,
There's a lot
It
of
is a
stuff,
lot.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But
but they'll be able to get it.
yeah, I think they should be able to help us with that. And then tomorrow, yes, so there is a budget item. So I think I sent you the LRAC report, and there's a budget in there. And so the total budget was a little higher for Mark West. The permit was, DS, it's pretty complicated now, even though it ended up being a very simple permit. So his was slightly higher, and then the boardwalk was just slightly higher than the estimate, which I think is pretty good, because I think he needed a few more helical piers. And we ended up having to do a railing, because it ended up a little higher than I was thinking it would be, so the railing was a little bit extra time and material, so they're still really close. And then I had Colin buy himself some hardware, because we needed to use some tools and just some replacement stuff. So the overall cost was $11,119.09, and we're getting $7,500 from LRAC and $3,520 from Great Bay, so that leaves $99.09, which we'll need to take from the conservation fund.
That
So
does sound better than 100, doesn't it, though?
yeah, I know, well, I have to be exact on the report, so I was like, had to be exact. It was $10.99.
That seems
So,
like a pretty good price for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's out
I think
there.
they do it, they're pretty good. They're, and they're very nice to work with, you know, they're very responsive to what you want and working together and so forth. I think they're really good. They're good. So if we could do a couple motions, one is to approve $99.09 from the Conservation Fund, which part of that will, 1009 will go to Colin. So we just want to approve both of those expenditures. They're kind of different. One
It's
is
$10.99.
So maybe we'll just do one at a time. If we can approve paying Colin $10.99 from the Conservation Fund for the miscellaneous hardware.
I so move.
Second,
All right,
Thank
I guess use rerun, that's right.
Yep.
All in favor?
that's okay.
I'm looking for you to take me out for a beer.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, and then we need to pay for the balance out of the Conservation Fund, which will be part of this. It's kind of confusing, but part of it's at $10.99. But $99.09 from the Conservation Fund. So it's a little bit confusing, but if that's okay, if you'll bear with me and do it that way, just because it's easier for my accounting. So I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second it.
Okay.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, and I will submit those reports to the two grants tomorrow, and we'll get the reimbursements. Should be no problem. Very
Very
good.
Thank you,
handsome.
Ellen.
Thanks, Ellen.
Yeah.
All kind of ready for Turtlefest Birdwalk, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, good timing.
UNH capstone, vernal pool mapping, and salamander brigades.
Yeah.
Updates here. The group that I'm working with has been building out their community guide, which will take what the Harris Center has done in the Keene area and apply it to Newmarket to give guidance to volunteers on helping with the big night when all of the salamanders migrate. We're going to go out Sunday and do like a little test run. We're going to check out one of the areas in Durham that another UNH team that Alan's working with doing mapping has kind of like identified as a potential crossing spot. So we're going to go out there Sunday just as kind of like a pilot run, check out the site, kind of understand like where people would park, safety, like is there salamander, frog movement. We don't know if like the weather's going to be perfect for it, but we're going to go just check that out, and then they're going to kind of like build that into the community guide as a potential spot where folks can volunteer.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, and so on the vernal pool side, so we had them work with Pete Steckler, who's, as you know, a GIS guy and really familiar with all these different layers. And so they looked at, so the students had, some of the students at least, there's 4 students, some have had experience with GIS, so they were able to work with the different layers. They looked at LiDAR, which is a pretty interesting layer, and aerial photography, and then the wetlands layer itself. And then Pete Steckler was having us try to use a different tool called Sync, which is another analytical tool in GIS to see where water moves, because you're trying to find these smaller pools, right, not these bigger wetlands. It was kind of complicated, and you know, they're sort of new in GIS, and they had to use a library GIS, so it was a little complicated. But I think it was a good learning process. It didn't really work for them, but I said that's okay. You know, that's part of the process, and document that. But they did create. They created a map of potential vernal pools, particularly along Dame Road, because there's so many. Because I really wanted them just to learn, like what do you look for in the map, and then what do you look for when you go out. So then they went out about a week ago. I couldn't go with them. They checked out some pools, compared it with their map. They found some pools that were on the map. They found some pools that weren't on the map, which is exactly what happens. And so it was, so I think they learned a lot. And so they're pretty much now just sort of wrapping up their report. And I said, just describe the whole process. I mean, that's part of what we wanted, was to see what worked for you and what didn't. And then they'll use they'll include either the Fish and Game or Harris Center has a vernal pool form. Like when you go out, you can, fill in all this information about a specific vernal pool. So I think that's about as far as they'll get with the project. We do need to approve some expenditure for Pete, because we had asked him to help them. But I did just learn today, and Pete sent it to me, that Fish and Game apparently has been working on this very thing, and so they're trying to model out, and I think they're doing it with Plymouth State, and it's sort of that same model using this sync idea, and so they might actually be coming up with a vernal pool layer that we might be able to use, and then
Wow.
volunteers could go out and actually
Yeah.
verify or not.
Ground proof it.
Yeah, ground truth it, so, because that's the piece that really volunteers can do, this, actually modeling is really not, it's very difficult for volunteers to kind of figure out, so that's pretty cool, yeah, so I think, and their presentation's April 23rd, and they have like 10 minutes to present their report, so,
Oh, my.
yeah.
Is that the poster? I was just trying to look up when
I think
there's
that's-
the undergraduate research conference, which I thought they just had a poster.
This is a
You can stop by.
presentation, I think it's on the 23rd,
Okay,
that's what they told me,
okay, cool. Yeah, there might be another date where they'll just have like a poster.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to check it out, they can go then. I'll try to figure out when it is.
yeah. Yeah,
When was
so-
the date you were gonna go try to look for?
Sunday night at 8. Like
This Sunday, yeah.
Sunday. Yeah, so if anyone wants to.
I was just looking at the weather and like Sunday or Monday night looks like they might be the big nights.
Yeah,
Yeah,
coming up
Sunday,
to
like
it,
the,
yeah.
it's a
Depends on the
potential.
temperature.
The Harris Center sends out like a forecast. You can sign up for their newsletter. So it gives you like the week forecast of which
Cool.
night might be a big night. It's great.
We've had some medium nights, but not a big night yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just realized a couple more expenditures we probably should approve. So Pete's time was, it was 3 hours, so Pete's time was $405. He met with him, I think, 3 times. We met all together on the Zoom, and he's very good. It was really nice. I think the students really liked working with him and, trying to understand some things. So if we could approve paying Pete Steckler, Northeast Conservation Services, the $405 for his help with the students.
So moved the $405 to that.
Second by Zach. Okay. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and to back up slightly, I don't know if we should probably approve, we have the Martin Forestry balance for the boardwalk is $6,460. We'd already paid them $3,500. Their total was it was under $10,000. So if we could approve that payment, so $6,460 to Martin Forestry.
I make a motion that we pay that to
All
Martin
right.
Forestry.
Second.
Is there a second? Tom?
Keeping it going.
All in favor? Aye, okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, sorry, I had a bunch of those expenditures. Okay, I think that's it for that.
Pass on.
Events, outreach and education, Heron Point Sanctuary cleanup, April 26th.
Was there Ash Swamp Passage?
Oh, golly, thank you, yes.
Ash Swamp Road.
Ash Swamp Road, Turtle Crossing, Aquatic Passage.
Yeah, all I know is that there's still these 2 potential grants, and they're working on the design right now with the funding they have from the Nature Conservancy. Lindsay Butler is the lead for the town, and America the Beautiful grant is still out there being processed, the same as it's a federal money, so. But that one also, it seems to be moving along, and they're very optimistic. And then she's also working with the ARM program, which is the state Army Corps program, and there's some potential to go back to that, because that was kind of on hold, because it didn't quite meet some of the criteria, so she's still working with them on that one as well.
What was
So,
the projected cost of that project? Did
the
they-
project to build, it's like $1 million.
Right around 1 million?
I think it's around 1 million.
Yep. Right there. The plans are great. They really
Very,
look good. I
yeah.
think it would just be the Cadillac
Yeah,
of restoration. It's tough because that's what they're coming in at now, at that kind of price. And
yeah.
If you want it to last a long time, that's what it's going to take to do it right.
Yeah, have you seen the lake, because they're, it'll be an open box, be a wide, and then they're actually going to it's going to be actually concrete walls, right? Not fencing.
Yep.
The fencing will be actually concrete walls, right? You've
Yeah.
seen that, yeah.
Is it the one that we saw at the meeting, so, that we saw a ways back?
I think so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen like a final engineered plan, so.
yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're working on now, is the design,
Yeah,
right?
sure,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember the preliminaries, yeah.
yeah.
I'll try to remember to send you what they sent to me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I appreciate
I'm glad ARM is willing to work with us, because they were kind of saying they don't want to do those kinds of projects anymore, right? They're kind of,
Well, and now they
Yeah,
want like
right.
a land protection component to it. so
yeah,
Back and forth.
they'd rather do restoration rather than fix culverts. They said, done enough culverts.
Important, though.
Yes,
All
it
right, I
is.
think that's it for that.
There we go. Thank you. Thanks for pointing that out. Heron Point Sanctuary cleanup on April 26th. What's lined up for that?
Okay, that's some, we scheduled for kind of an Earth Day thing, and so my thought was, there's a bunch of stuff in the woods as you drive in the access road on the right, because we were kind of always confused about the boundary, but we know where it is now, and there's just some stuff in there I thought we could clean up. And we were gonna help the Heron Point Sanctuary, or Heron Point Estates people, because they've got some stuff over the line, and maybe we can help them move it, or get rid of it, kind of thing. So that's the idea there, and then Newmarket Cares Day, the students also want to go and help at Heron Point, so I thought we'd reserve sort of the stuff we did with them last year, which was, brushing the boardwalk and doing the trail, clean up the trails themselves, and see what else, we might even think about what we want to do in that parking area, because we talked about, we don't have, there's no access in there for vehicles anymore, so what might we want to do there? I know we could think about that if we want the students to do anything on the 23rd of May for Newmarket Cares Day.
For April 26th, you said that you would work with the Heron Point residents.
Yeah.
They know about this
Yeah,
and they've
yeah.
seen the area that you're talking
Yep,
about?
yep, that's because we did that boundary survey, so they're pretty familiar. I mean, we have to remind them, I'll do that
Right, so
soon.
it's coming and they know it.
Yeah, I mean, whether they all know it,
Right.
it's convenient, so.
What is
Yeah.
out there?
Yep.
How many people are you looking to?
I put that, the April 26th, I put on Nature Group, and 3 people, students have signed up, I think. So sometimes they don't all come, but, yeah. So if anybody else is interested in helping out, it's not a big lift. It's, it'll be a few hours.
Is there gonna be like a DPW truck or something?
I haven't talked to Rick yet, but we'd probably just do, contractor bags and then see if they'd come pick them up.
It's in the morning.
Yeah, 9 to 12.
That's one of the days of my bird
Our
walk.
bird walk,
so,
yeah. Right.
Or else I would be there.
Yeah.
Roadside cleanup, this is the
This is
blue
the,
bags.
yeah,
we're
the
talking
Tony
about.
thing. So if anybody wants to do the, anytime, you can do the balloon bags anytime before the 27th, and just leave them on the side of the road. So I usually grab a roll, and
Yeah.
if people want some, I'll throw
Yeah, definitely.
some this way.
You can pass them down. Pass them.
I could
I've
just
got
let
a
you
couple
take your
here.
own.
And you don't sign up this year, right? I think I saw.
What's that?
You
No,
don't
we
have to
didn't sign up
this
last year either.
I just sign up, I just tell Tony where I'm going.
Come up with it.
Yeah.
You can go
Yeah,
get
that's what I
the,
mean.
just
There's
leave
no
them out,
pre-sign
right?
up.
no.
Because I'm in condos, I don't know, can I just leave them
Who
on
wants one?
any side of any road?
Sure,
Does
I
that
don't think it-
mean-
I think you can just leave them out and they grab
Yeah,
them, right?
just,
Yeah.
and then just tell Tony where they are. You know Tony Weinstein? So we'll send you her email, because she's the one that's
Okay.
kind of collating where people are
Got it.
working.
Okay,
And so you just email her where you cleaned up and
okay.
where the bag is, and they'll go around and pick them all up.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay.
But I'll,
If there's a component of this, it's the larger stuff, because sometimes she has Mr. Old
Do you want me
Ironsides
to grab
or
you?
somebody
Yeah.
and stuff like hubcaps. sometimes.
yeah.
Her hands are covered.
Does anybody this way, do you need some of your own
You do an
set?
ash swab?
You guys are set?
And this is on,
started
just on May.
So it's, so the last day you can do the cleanup is, for this one, is April 27th, which is a Sunday, and they'll probably pick the bags up on Monday, the 28th.
Okay,
So you could do it anytime, I mean, you don't want to do it weeks ahead because the blue bags will be sitting there, but if you wanted to do it during the week or Saturday, or, that's how I've always done it.
yeah,
Because I always just found like, oh, this is a nice morning, I'm gonna go do my cleanup.
Yeah.
yeah.
We need some more? We good?
I'll see you after. I'm
Yeah.
gonna need a couple of them.
Yeah, okay. All right,
Usually
I'm done on
Is
that.
this the same one where they're handing out bags?
At the library,
Yeah.
yes, same thing. It's just, those of us who live far away, it's just
Yeah.
more convenient to have our bags ahead of time.
I'll probably ask you for 3 or 4, but
Okay.
you can do it after.
Yeah, well, I'm done. I'm done.
TurtleFest, I think we've, May 10th, we've
Yeah,
talked
we've pretty-
everything we need to talk about for that. I do have, I think I already said, Zach, your shirt's here, and Julie, your 3 shirts are here. Newmarket Cares Day, Ellen approached that a little bit. Do you have anything else to say for Newmarket Cares Day, either of you?
No.
Okay, that brings us to Newmarket Library. The Conservation Commission display, kind of on hold a little bit, but now it's going to be back up, but really featuring TurtleFest. But with Barton and, I keep thinking Bridget, not Barton, Lindsay, being kind of a feature of that, but then also a focus on who the 3 speakers are. And book club. The book club wrapped up 3 books, 3 months, and a group of 12 people were in that club. By popular demand, they want to continue.
Cool.
And they came up with a very cool idea that's a hybrid model. So they're going to meet every month, starting in May, but flip-flop. So one month is not a book, but a recap of something you read, something you saw, or bringing back topics from former books. The following month is a book, and then discussion group, and then a book, and so that gets us all the way through until November. And I thought that was a pretty great innovation with the energy and the synergy that the group had, that they wanted to stay together. And they thought that during the discussion times, it could be interesting to say, oh, I saw this from Seacoast, whatever, I went to so-and-so, I did this at McLean Center, I'm interested in thus and such, anybody want to come with me to thus and such? So that's the discussion side of it, because we found that in 1 hour's time, talking about the books, we also were truly talking about interesting things, or great website, or Dr. Tarr's class, Berger's class that was just recently signed up, or where are the field trips for his class? Could you go to those places on your own? And that was chunking into the time that we had to spend in the library to talk about the books. So we found it out to be piggybacking discussion and book and discussion and book. The book list will be available. I can bring that to our meeting next month because they came up with suggestions of books that they wanted. So now Lauren's going to see which of those are easy and viable to get through, what it could look like for interlibrary loan, or what it could look like for them to have at our own library. How many copies of these things are at our own library? Some might be more available or less available than others. So from the suggestions from the group, we'll have books. So the first book would be June. Discussion group May, first book June. And Skip and Piggy hopscotch kind of like that with the book club. So it looks like that could be still a core group of 12. And truly, anybody is welcome to join. And the big feature of this book club is you don't have to have read the book to come to the book club. Because these topics are things that, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, you're on a mailing list, or you get a newsletter, or you've read some article, or you saw something on a Nova show that's worth sharing, or that you wanted to share with people. So don't let the fact that you didn't read the book or finish the book squelch your interest in being part of it. So that's that. New business should maybe be on here if anybody has something to suggest or something to say or to wrap up with. Then I also thought we could add, similar to town council, taking the lead from town council, they go around at the end of each meeting and say something that they did or saw or appreciated, or a place they went, or something that was related to
Closing
something
comments.
of interest to the body group. Pardon?
Closing comments.
Yeah, yeah. Succinctly put, closing comments. But in case you hadn't watched TV or watched them on the meeting or been there, that's kind of what they're talking about. So I think here we always have a chance. Somebody always says invariably at every meeting, oh, that's what Bear Paw did to pick it up. Or, oh, that's what, is happening on this trail, or a place that I went, or a website I just saw, or Harris, like tonight you mentioned so casually, oh, you can sign up at the Harris Center for information on when they're predicting Big Night is. So closing comments could be something not to be a stressor, not to be a pressure thing, and not to be anything like a contest by any means. But there's just such a body of background knowledge here that it seems like I feel lucky, because I've gotten sometimes an email from one or the other of you, like, oh, that reminded me of thus and such. But everybody should have the pleasure of getting to hear those things. These are not graded, you don't win prizes, and it's certainly not meant to be a stressor. So we won't start that tonight because I just now sprang it, but I will say it was a great example, Zach, when you said Harris, you can sign up with Harris Center. So at a future meeting, you might say, oh, Harris Center, here would be the email address for that. And it makes it wicked easy for people just to write down email address rather than Harris. And then you get home and think, why did I write down Harris? So a couple of sentences, something that you can direct us to as colleagues on Conservation Commission. I thought that could be really interesting, like the town council does. Too much wealth of information here to let it go, or just to have it just luckily land in somebody's lap. Any other comments or ideas?
I just have one thing.
Oh, don't say just. You have one thing. We're thrilled to hear from you.
Since we are all very plant-loving people, the high school is putting on a production of Little Shop of Horrors this weekend.
Oh, my
Cute
goodness.
segue.
We're doing it tomorrow at 7 p.m., Saturday at 2 and 7 p.m., and then Sunday at 2. And there's also live music, which I will be playing in. So if anybody wants to come, it's $15 at the door. And don't quote me on this, but we did sell Venus flytraps there, so there might be some left over, but I just wanted to mention to you all.
Oh, have fun. I did like the intro, since we're plant lovers. Well, that was really catchy, that was great.
Feed me.
Do I have any kind of motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. And Bridget's got the t-shirt boxes to reckon with.